But it's not to say, like, if you're from an influencer side, it's probably some insights for you on how can you get more business collaborations on monetizing over here. Or if you're from a brand, it could probably be inspiring on how do you manage your budget better to achieve better results. So I currently lead strategy in IPG MEDIABRANDS. We are the 4th biggest marketing agency group in the world. We are not as big in China, but we do have a very diverse and international kind of client profile across different industries, from travel to healthcare to luxury and all that. I personally come from Ogilvy. So actually, some of the brands we saw up front in today's presentation, they're also very dearly to my heart because they were like my ex-clients, like EF and H&M. But at the same time, because of my background coming from brand agency, media agency, PR agency, I have had the honor to work with a large enough group of audiences for different clients. And at the peak of my kind of influencer marketing life, like my team manages a budget of around 100 million RMB a year. So that's kind of the scale of experience I've had in the past. But on the B side of my life, I've also been a 13-year influencer in China. I started off in the Weibo age. So back then, you can see pretty big numbers like 1.5, 1.1 million. But really, for China, because of the scale of everything, that's not really that big. I wouldn't call myself a very, very lead influencer. It started with like pictures and text and tweeting, and all the way until, oh, wow, suddenly it's like a video world. Then you have to learn how to make short videos, long videos. So I've gone through all that evolution in the past decade, moving my platform mainly from Weibo into Xiaohongshu and Bilibili. This was me dressed up as Ursula in Halloween last year in Disney. My friend captured a video. I thought it was really funny, and I posted it on Red. It ended up going on Red trending. So it was number 16 of all times trending during that session in Halloween. And because of that viral post, Disney has actually featured me in one of their ads. So this is just explaining like the kind of A-B side of me, because I have a pretty good relationship with the platform. I work in agencies and I'm an influencer myself. So sometimes I understand there will inevitably be conflict amongst the three, but there will always be a multiple side perspective. So if you look into my content on social media, in Red specifically, it is the opposite of what everyone tells you your account should be. They tell you you should post frequently, you should own a vertical category. If you're beauty, stick to beauty. If you're fashion, stick to fashion. I don't give a shit about that, because this is not my actual job. I have an other career. This is more my platform to be connecting with everyone, so I do whatever I want to do. I dress up, I cosplay, I give TikTok refugee monetization lessons. I'm just a bit of everything here and there. So that kind of is the setup, but the title of the presentation today is very interesting, because when I was asked to give a sharing of influencer marketing, I wanted to go back to challenge the definition a little of what defines an influencer. And again, like I thought I was talking to a bunch of like brand people, so everyone in the brand marketing world these days wants to become an influencer. I guess half of you already want. But if you go a little more traditional, more lecture-y, and you look back, you would see the definition of influencers has evolved massively over time. Like 10 years ago, influencers is still used interchangeably with celebrities. So we're talking about like Blackpink, we're talking about like Chen Guanxi, Chen Yixun, so like all these local and international big celebrities, and you would have accounts with influence even in the social media world, like your Vogue, like your GQ Lab. But at the same time, you have people like yourself, bloggers. Sorry, I'm old school, so I still use like old school terms. I know today people don't use blogs anymore. But then if you think about it, like up till this date, anywhere you shop offline, in Sephora, the sales lady would be like, "Can I add your WeChat?" And then they will be like bombarding you with all these messages. It's like, "Oh, I see a promo, maybe I'll go buy something." Would you not think that this person has some sort of influence on you? So really, like, I dislike the word influencer because it could be anything and it could be anyone. Your mom has influence on you. If you're about to like walk out of the house and your mom's like, "Okay, that skirt looks disgusting," like, would you not say like, "Okay, I should go back and change into something else"? Like, so influencer in a broad sense, it could be anyone. But if you stick to a social media and an internet environment, you see the spectrum of you have people and accounts that have a bigger fan base, and perhaps whatever they say, whatever they do, they create a ripple effect in the reputation world. Like people talk about, oh, like what's happening in Vogue, what's happening on the Met Gala. But you also have like your more traditional digital media that doesn't print a magazine, but they create really excellent content that's like professionally made and in-depth. Does it mean that in today's world they're not important? Because no, they get as much engagement as people who post like goofy videos of them dressing up in Disneyland. So if you look at that spectrum of an influencer, number one from a marketing side is that you cannot be driven away by, okay, you see everyone posting goofy videos and cat videos, so I go buy the cats. You have to consider influences from all sorts of ways, shapes, and forms to really help you understand where should be spending that money. And over the last decade, you know this very well yourselves, influencer is the most desired occupation of our generation. Actually, like these numbers are from like searches, what, nearly 10 years ago, 2018? And this number has only gone up and not down because everyone would be like, okay, I want to be an influencer. I want to make tons of money and do nothing and just be hot. And so, yes, I tend to be very authentic. So really in China, which I take very much pride to say, this is what I've said here, this is what I have said in the past when I do influencer summits in Singapore, in Dubai, and different places of the world, that China has the world's largest influencer force. So I put a number here from Instagram, which this is a 2023 number, and I cannot find any published number from TikTok, so shout out to the lady over there. From the world, creators with over 1,000 followers on Instagram is 500,000. If you look at just Douyin alone, this is just Douyin for China, this is not TikTok inclusive of all around the world, we have 120 million followers that have accounts that have more than 10K fans. So when everybody is in this economy that is so digitalized and everybody could be making money, more or less, you can say they're not making big money, but they're making some money. So it makes monetizing of influence something that is so common, that is happening everywhere. And simply speaking, from a brand perspective, there's an oversupply of influencers. I can select anyone, any background. I don't have a particular preference, but if whatever criteria I set, there are always more accounts I can have to choose. I cannot be wasting all my time choosing after influencers, because that's just a waste of the 8-hour work that I have. So what's happening in China is, in the past 10, or I would say 20 years since the Olympics in China, they have had massive economy growth and digitalization, where every other year you would see, okay, every 2 or 3 years, like 10 years ago, Weibo was the thing. And then 5 years ago, Douyin was the thing. And then the recent 2 years, Xiaohongshu was the thing. Xiaohongshu sees it stagnating in growth, and we would say, okay, is podcast the future? It's not, by the way. But you have more and more brands that are dying to get a piece of the business in China. They are coming in. There are brands from around the world. They're like a salmon brand from Japan or whatnot. More brands are coming in, more creators are available, but you only have so much users. China's population is not going up, guys. We have a massive, people are not having babies issue. So in the sense that everyone's smartphone is just there, you're not gonna have 15 phones, you only have one at max 2, and this is all the time you have spending on your social media. We just don't have any more market, and so the competition for attention is more intensive than ever. And so in the past, we say, okay, we go where the traffic bonus is, which is, I don't have to spend a lot of effort, but this platform is organically growing, so I can get a share for better ROI. But that's not the case anymore, because you can say, okay, AI is the future, Shorts is the future, DeepSeek was the fastest ever AI application to reach 100 million users, but how do you monetize off DeepSeek? And DeepSeek isn't really giving that share because it's a tool. It's not giving you access or getting you fans by having an account over there. So in an area in China where there's no more traffic bonus and there is an oversupply of influencers, it's still interesting, at least from my perspective. I think the fact that more and more brand owners are saying they're increasing their investment into influencers. The translation of that is, it's because when we invest in billboards in the train stations, billboards in the airports, bus shelters, whatever advertisement you see out there on the streets, it does not give me ROI. But with an influencer, okay, I can force him to do live streaming. I can say, if you don't have an ROI on one-to-one, I won't pay for you to work for me. So it's almost like guaranteed return from an influencer side because everyone is dissected in so many levels. There are so much data available. It seems like a more promising outlet of investment in an age of uncertainty. But at the same time, consumers are immune to collaborations. I mean, we are all here, part of the industry, more or less, but we are all consumers yourself. When was the last time you saw a collaboration post and thought, wow, this is so cool. I really like this product, says nobody ever. Because when 3 out of 10, at least, that's the minimum number of paid ads you see on Xiaohongshu, are sponsored content. Like the more you see it, the more you get hit. At first, you may not even realize because marketers are so smart, they always invent new ways of covering up for ads that you don't realize. But the cruel reality is people are not happy with the overflow of ads because nobody wants them to live in a world that is all ads and nothing personal. And so more investors, more marketers wanted to pay for influencers. But influencer content is not yielding the same amount of impact from a social media perspective. That's why, because I've been in this industry for long enough, like 3 years ago, all beauty brands are like, oh my God, I'm gonna do KOCs because the money I can use on one top tier KOL, I can do 300 KOCs. And by doing 300 KOCs, I drive how many people in stores, that's my ROI. And then fast forward to 3 years later, they're like, okay, we still wanna do 300 KOCs, but we realize KOCs are more expensive. KOCs are not yielding as much search. What is wrong with you guys? You must be a crappy agency. I'm gonna go look for a new agency. It's very tough, I understand, from like a marketer's perspective, but reality is China is just changing so fast. What works 3 years ago, I'm sorry, maybe 3 months later, it's not working anymore. So now the buzzword in the industry is KOS, Key Opinion Sales. All brands are coming over to say, Keely, we want a sales toolkit. We want to train all our 100,000 staff from our 500 stores around China, and if every one of them live streams, that will generate how much revenue for us. And we'd be like, yeah, I'm happy to sell you the toolkit, but you're not going to get the amount of sales you want because there just ain't that many people who have the time to read paid content. And so back to like the core of this presentation, in an age where everything is commercialized, when there's an oversupply of people, oversupply of money, oversupply of brands, it's not just about, okay, is it one post versus 300? Is it one content versus 5? Is it a 2-minute versus a 5-minute content? Or is it just ROI? It's not about just scaling engagement. It's about co-creating content that builds trust. Because you would see, like, performance marketing was the big thing over the past 5 years. And then until one point, you would say, okay, no matter how many sets of asset I do A/B testing on, my performance ROI is not going up. There's always a point of diminishing where whatever money I invest is not yielding. And so 2 years ago, everyone was like, ROI, let's all do performance. And then now everyone's like, branding, let's all do brand. But at the end of the day, it's never, your channels or the way or the medium you invest could change. But really, from the consumer's perspective, it's still very straightforward. I want a brand that doesn't treat me like I'm an idiot. I want to be respected. I wanted to build trust with you. And really, in today's world, the trigger for building trust, the people who has more say in building trust is the consumer. It's never the brand. And so to build influence, you have to understand that content, I know the word content is king, and then content is stinking, and then content is back into the king again, but really it is the ultimate medium where you will to consider. All other platforms don't matter that much. And in China, because of how diverse we are, because social wants a bit of commerce and commerce wants a bit of social, you see Tmall trying to do shorts, everyone is trying to take each other's plate. So naturally, you would have like different platforms, different content formats. It all really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, from a brand's perspective, what you need to craft is you need to make sure the social experience when people are looking at you, when people are looking at people who are affiliated with you, or when you're building that journey, you need to be holistically considering all these different touch points and to be respectful on don't just say what you want to say because nobody wants to listen. You need to be conscious of what is happening in the social media world, what people are genuinely interested in, and find a connection point between the two. And so really ROI is just part of the picture. You cannot have a successful influencer strategy unless you connect all four. And so In marketing jargons, we like to say, yeah, we want to create like a seamless, holistic, end-to-end journey so that we're reaching the right people, giving them the right content in the right places. China tells you, haha, bullshit. Because China is so scattered. Like, we're all smartphone addicts. We all jump around different apps. Every app wants to be everything for everyone. There's no such thing as, oh, I'll just be a very good awareness app, and then you can do all the sales. Nah, doesn't work like that in China. So everyone will try to tell you they can do everything. That's not true, because naturally, every group will have their strengths and their weaknesses. You would have Xiaohongshu working their ass off telling you, we can do sales, we can do commerce. And this year, they're like, oh, we're partnering with Tmall because we realized we couldn't sell shit. I hope there's no Xiaohongshu people over here. Yeah, this is me being coffee high. At the age of uncertainty, really from a marketer's perspective, there's no such thing as a long-term plan. Like, okay, this is where I want to be in a year's time, the traditional way of, let's do all our annual budget planning by Q4 so that we know exactly what we're going to do in 2026. This doesn't work anymore. So more and more often, I see clients coming to me saying, okay, stop thinking about the next quarter. I want a plan that helps me drive metrics in the next 30 days. What am I going to do? So in the past, you manage a bigger budget, you manage it up front, you're slow, the client has a longer lead time to make decisions. That's not the case anymore. Here, everything is short, fast, and snappy. You need to be able to capture your audiences in the first 3 seconds. And for the brands, for the marketers, it's the same thing. They need to be responsive enough to capture what is happening in the marketplace from like a 3-hour perspective, so that you don't see big budgets anymore. It's small budgets in pilot projects, in proof of concepts that are happening every other day. This is my day-to-day week with my clients calling me at 12 night saying, okay, I saw this recently on Twitter. I saw this recently on Jane Daily. What am I going to do tomorrow? This is more or less the daily of what I have to do. And this is just what I've said just now. Like, in the past, performance marketing was sort of the answer because it is so data-driven, it sounds so rational, it gives you that sense of security with numbers, but that's not the case anymore. It's reaching a limit, it's reaching its diminishing point, and so more brands are realizing, oh snap, I have neglected the importance of brand building over the past 3 years. So this is the year where I have to go back to understand, how should I invest in my brand? And what does that mean for influencers? Because when it sounds like, okay, brand, is it just something that all my audiences care about or like all my marketers cares about? Influencers help bridge that gap between content and media, because I still think it is the sole medium in China that has that state-of-the-art operation from both an emotional and a rational side. So a storytelling powerhouse that it has your reach, it has your followers, but when you're done well enough, you will have content that goes beyond. You'll have content that goes viral. You will reach people that has never followed you before. And so you are essentially a storytelling medium for the brand by infusing what you believe in, what you're good at, what you feel like, but also being paid, you also have the responsibility to help articulate what the brand wants you to say in a way that the market could accept, the market felt interesting. And so it is a very delicate art. It's not just about quick money, because people who are still in the business are not the ones that are just in for the quick money. With influencers, like I still think it is a right way to go into influencer marketing. I just don't think that whatever brands are thinking in the past, like it's an easy way out or it's guaranteed money, that will no longer be the case. But there are a couple of principles that I feel like set as the foundation for what makes a good influencer marketing campaign. So number one, strong persona and perspective coming from the influencer yourself. So again, because China, it's naturally a market that is so competitive. When you see one thing that has gone viral, then 10 different other accounts will copy you in hope of getting that traffic bonus and then going big. But over the years, you would have realized that those do not have a perspective. You do not stand for yourself, or in like Chinese jargons, you don't have a personal IP, 没有个人IP. Like, if you don't have a voice, if you don't have something you stand for, if you say A is good because they paid you and B is good because they paid you the next day, then sorry, you'll be out of the business very soon, because you're so replaceable that I don't need to consider working with you a second time. And at the same time, to build long-term deliverable, there was a term just now in Iris's presentation, 利他, benefit for the other people. You have to consider, why do you stand here as an influencer or as a brand that is beneficial for your audiences? Why should they follow you? And because of like the algorithm with Douyin and Xiaohongshu is the same. If I like this content, I engage with you, I keep seeing the same content from you and other people. So I don't need to follow you. I can still see your content through my feeds, through my scroll. So give them an absolute reason why they should follow you, what they're going to get from you, whether it's like emotional, whether it's like a private group, you can come in and chat with me, or you feel like joining me, like you can do coffee chat and networks. But then have something to offer, build your personal brand, build your personal IP, give them a reason to follow you. And from like, again, like this is my influencer brain and my marketer brain switching back and forth. But at the same time, like from a brand perspective, like I work with a lot of auto clients. It's always like, buy my car. It's like, why should we buy your car? Because we're awesome. It's like, that doesn't answer anything. It's not helpful at all. But at the same time, content creation capabilities is more and more important. Unfortunately, this is a PDF. I can actually share a link after. I didn't embed the video. But you would see, especially in the Douyin world, that content creation capabilities are insane. Like influencers that are fully equipped from like a very perspective, like they could do animations, they can do CGI, they can do special effects. They have like professional, and because with the age of AI, everything is made so much easier. And so the traditional like marketing view of, okay, I have to spend 2 million to build a really cool 30-second TVC, and then I cut it down into 15 seconds and 5-second versions. It's just not working anymore because you can use 1/10 of that budget to ask influencers to make something that is 10 times more awesome, and it still helps you deliver the same message you need to talk to your brand. So faster, more flexible ways of thinking, be more agile with the way you spend your budget, and respect your creators' like ability to create amazing content. Track everything, no matter how big, no matter how small. I think that's a very China-based kind of thinking or philosophy, because really when everything is centralized in backends, for the creators out there, I strongly encourage you to find someone who has the backend account of TikTok, Douyin, or Xiaohongshu. Look at how this platform is diagnosing your content. Because from a backend perspective, that's a tool for the marketers. It will rank you against other people who have a similar following to you. It will tell you, are you posting more frequently? Are you posting less frequently? Does your content have better 5-second completion rate or less 5-second completion rate? It's like, look at yourself from a marketer perspective. Thank you. I talk too much. And so if you don't have a data-centric lens on yourself, on your brand, you will never be able to understand how other people are evaluating you when there's an oversupply of influencers that's just everywhere. And last but not least, high value for money for traffic. Because nowadays, like brands will come in and tell you it's never just about influencers only. You need to spend more money on traffic. And so in like a KFS combination with Red, they would tell you, okay, only spend 20% on the influencers and then spend 80% buying feed ads and search ads off us and buy Boost. So this is the best era for nano influencers, because this is exactly telling brands, don't spend $500,000 on one person anymore unless this person can sell more than $500,000 for you. Go buy high value for money, excellent content at a smaller cost, and then buy the right traffic that helps you be seen, that helps you get out there, that helps you use a more efficient way of building where you are. So I think those are the foundations of what makes a good influencer marketing campaign, and help build long-term trust. When the brand knows what to do, it gives enough creators freedom, everything that Ira said has just now, but kind of put together in a more holistic way. Okay, now I'm out of fingers to click on my clicker. So back then, so this is more like marketing shit. I think for people who are not in the agency world, this just gives you a breakdown of how like an influencer marketing campaign is run today. We start with the planning. We look at accounts not by people, but by data, because there's just simply too many accounts for me to keep track. So there will always be a data-led strategy to help me find, okay, what's trending within this category, within this industry, within this particular, like, for example, like type of perfume that we're looking at. What are the blank spaces? What are my competitors saying? What are my audience interested in? And then identify a white space for me to go in and own. Then you will have the buying and execution, which is still immensely important, especially for probably the non-locals over here. If agencies come to you and ask for rebates, that's just the way things are, because marketplaces make everything so transparent and agencies still need to make money. So you would see rebates going up, but if you have a very unique resource, if you have something that you're not as replaceable, like you're an e-gamer or you're some like micro celebrity, it gives you the bargaining power to kind of up your cost a little. But then in general, because of how competitive the influencer landscape are, we tend to, from an agency perspective, still have to look for a more cost-efficient way of buying. So there will be like buying comparisons, like if I'm buying this account and I'm going through 3 vendors, who gives me the best price? So there will be a lot of business negotiations that, from an influencer perspective, of course, you need to be aware of. If I'm too expensive, nobody would buy me. But if I'm too cheap, everybody wants to buy me and I don't have enough time. And that's probably not the best use of my resources. So that's the interesting kind of like two-way thing. From the brand's perspective, is always just, I want to use the cheapest way to find the number of content that I need to post out there from a limited time being. So be very aware of how that works, be very aware of the negotiation that needs to happen there, and be aware of what's happening in the market so you can always benchmark off. And last but not least, performance is extremely important, especially for creators. Don't think that performance has nothing to do with you. When my account only had 5,000 followers on Red, my first collaboration was Victoria's Secret because they're my client. So it has nothing to do with me being lovable and generating very good content. It's just because I have really good relationship with my client. But then I created a content for them that was really good. My engagement rate and my 10-second completion rate was the highest amongst all 85 posts that was on during that campaign. So when they paid $5,000 for me to create that content, they blew 50,000 RMB on buying traffic for me. It was my first viral post. That collaboration grew my account fan base 5 times. I went from 5,000 followers to 25K followers. So utilize and understand that when brands are buying traffic for you, it doesn't just benefit the brand, it also benefits you. That gives you all the more reason to be a professional content creator, because some content creator would be like, this is my way of going out there. I have this personality. You should listen to me. And from a brand's perspective, I'm like, okay, bye, I'm canceling this collaboration. I'm going to someone more collaborative. Because when I'm dealing with so many pieces of content, like for you, this is 1 collaboration out of probably 5. But for a brand, I have to look at 300 pieces of content per campaign. I don't have enough share of time to decide, okay, I want to respect you. I want to give you freedom, of course. I don't want to limit everything you say, but I don't have that much time for you. So in that balance of being a very professional content creator, you will be rewarded with money. You will be rewarded with performance. That is a win-win situation for both you and the brand. Here are a couple of other cases that I would say they are probably not my biggest. They're probably not the ones that are the most numerically strong, like they don't have the lowest CPE or they're not the biggest budget, but those are the cases that, for example, has won me some awards and I feel like are a good illustration of what makes a successful campaign based on everything we've said just now. So MSD is a very dear client of mine in the healthcare industry, promoting HPV vaccination in China. And our challenge here was to educate the importance of getting vaccinated to younger audiences that are 16 to 24 years old. And so as a healthcare brand, we face a lot of restrictions. We're not allowed to do this. We're not allowed to say that. We're not allowed to like pay influencers directly. So it made our life very difficult. But what we've done was, instead of saying, okay, if we can't get celebrities, we'll just stick to ads, we found a way in, which is we cannot find person to endorse us, but we can endorse creations. So we tapped into ACGN. We went to the biggest comic community in China. We got a comic artist based on the comic series she was updating to create a new chapter for us, which was about, okay, you are about to be hit by the evil HPV virus, and this is how you would counter the virus, because by being vaccinated, you're defended against this and that. This may have not a very big reach, but it drove so much engagement that there were 1,500 posts on that comics platform discussing the content of this very educational piece of work. I was not able to track how many of those viewers actually went to book a vaccination. But doing something like this for a brand that I feel like is for the goodness of the people, for the healthcare of the greater good, in a way that very creatively overrides the restrictions of this category and is truly resonating with the young people. Because like outside of school, outside of studying, outside of exam, in a place so competitive, like naturally they like anime, they like comics, they like entertainment. So this collaboration, despite small, actually yielded very good impact, and it was a very inspiring practice for other healthcare companies to explore how could they tap into and create educational edutainment content that are tailored for China. And it won me a silver award at Digital Media Awards 2 years ago. This is what I felt very sad. Like, this should have been a video, but I sent through PDF, so we all couldn't see. This was us managing over 100 pieces of content for Volkswagen last year when we were working with the Volkswagen Group. And auto is a very, very competitive industry within China where, again, restricted by budgeting. They don't have big budgets to say, okay, I want to do a lot of different versions of my history, my storytelling, but I do not have enough content to go out there. So we actually endorsed, like, if you look at this, this is not a real car. This is all completely CGI rendered. We looked for a CGI AI artist that helped us do an evolution video of Volkswagen's 60 years in China and all of their hero car models. And this was only for around 200K RMB, which is very, very, very cheap. If they asked an advertising agency to create a video like this, it would have cost them at least $1 million. So we saved them 80% of that money on the spot. And we created that because we felt like this is the right way of activating artists with the right expertise to give you the assets you need in today's AI-driven world that gives you the right to break up the music and to like repurpose and to edit it into different adaptations. And then like one of my less senior clients came to me and was like, what about his CPE? This person is so expensive and I don't see any impact. And his boss was like, no, this is not the type of client for impact. Because you pay him to create excellent content. It's not about him having 2 million fan base. And naturally, because this is a very corporate piece of content, you would not expect his 2 million fans to make this into a viral piece. So I think that's a very good reminder in a category that is so competitive. Everyone is like throwing money. Everyone is like competing. Who says my car is better? There is still ways of exploring the potential of creators in China's marketplace that could serve different purposes for different brands. Hearts on Fire, for those that are less familiar with this brand, it's the diamond, it's the most premium diamond line under Chow Tai Fook, the biggest gold jeweler in the world, actually, because of how big China is. And so they've had this serious issue with, they wanted to get influencers to post their jewelries, of course, but each piece is very expensive. When you are shipping real diamonds around, it's very risky. I have had friends that are working in Cartier. When they work with influencers, some get stolen, some get broken. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen with like expensive merchandises. But they just don't have that much. They cannot afford to be sending so much gold and diamonds around, but they don't have enough volume of content that is going on out there. So instead of saying, okay, some other agency suggested to them, make fake diamonds. Fake diamonds are very cheap these days. Or use like a gold equivalent. They look exactly the same in a photo, or just Photoshop it. But what we have suggested was we created a filter, an AR filter, and we made it into a TikTok challenge that everybody would just come in and play. And by activating a large group of nano influencers, you don't need to put your fingers on real diamonds anymore. You can just play this and then go into a store and engage with your store owners. We still help them drove a significant amount of UGC within the campaign period, which for them is a more on-brand way of doing something that originally they thought they couldn't do. So from a brand's perspective, I hope you see how influencer is part of the greater picture. It's never going to be everything, but it could be a very important channel to voice out whatever other marketing activities that the brands are endorsing. Last but not least, we mentioned about like the importance of personal IP. So more and more you would see Chinese creators creating like miniatures, like little comic series, little icons, little figures, little characters. And these are what we called IPs. So it's typical to your like Disney IPs, like Mickey Mouse or like Zootopia. By identifying IP creators as an interesting partnership, you can be creating little merchandises that also helps you tap into particular groups of audiences. For example, this is 内心小孩, like the little girl with like a bob head over there is a cartoon miniature figure that's about how I hate my job and I don't want to work anymore, which resonates a lot with the white collar workers in China these days. And so in other healthcare client I work with, Tylenol, which needs to like position themselves as a go-to painkiller because they are more mild than ibuprofen. It doesn't give you stomach aches. So we partnered with this little IP to create little miniature like medicine boxes that if you buy enough painkillers, we will give you that little medicine box you can put on your table of your work desk. And so it reminds you, and again, in China's culture where people would rather like stand through it than to take painkillers, some pains you don't have to endure, you can just take a painkiller and to solve everything. So I guess that's it. Thank you for putting up with me jumping around. It might be very confusing for some of you and others, but I hope that's where you see my perspective coming from like a tri-party. And happy to hear from you, like questions, what are your pain points with KOL marketing? What are your pain points with your own account? Or I'm just running out of time, I don't know what's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Keely, for your speech. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the coffee break and networking, now we will conduct a brief round table. And the topic is, how do you see the present and future of influencer marketing? So now I'd like to invite some of you to come here on stage for this session. You can share some thoughts, share some insights with us. Anyone volunteer? Yeah, anyone volunteer? Yeah, the topic is, how do you see the present and future of influencer marketing? I'd like to invite some of you, maybe the speaker, maybe the audience. Yeah, feel free to come here to join us. Okay, anybody? Okay. Wow. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, some. The question is, how do you see the present and future of influencer marketing?
Yeah, what I want to know is, can I ask questions?
Yeah. So.
Do I have to?
You have some question?
Right now we're going to do a roundtable with all the speakers, and we would like to invite one of the content creators who wants to participate here on the stage. Since it's a roundtable, everybody's free to participate, to raise your hand, and we will bring you the mic. But right now we want to summon all the speakers. Hello. Come on.
This is China, this happens.
You're up. Why? Which content creator is going to? Okay. Come on.
Okay, you can have your seat. You have one chair.
Well, as she said, the first question is, we would like to give your view on the future of influencer marketing. So, it's a very vague question, but.
Okay, yeah. So happy to be back again. Yeah, I think it's really a big question. But I shared several insights in my presentation already. Actually, it's about the influence marketing, some key, I think, key element and key message that we need to keep in mind. I think firstly is about the content itself. So I think content to be authentic, to be impactful, to be real, and to be helpful. I think is the maybe it's currently is very important, and I think in future will be more and more important. So I'm always thinking content is a key to do influencer marketing, and I think not only the brand, the agency, and the influencer themselves need to define the quality of content. Yeah, I think firstly is this element, and secondly, I think it's the way of working, because previously, I think for brand, actually we find the influencer, we brief them, and the influencer posts the content in their social media.